Okay, here's how I draft on a board on my floor instead of on a table, like a normal human being. I'm using a pen. You should probably use a pencil, but you know, pretty sharp. Scissors to actually cut it out. Page with my measurements on it, and a diagram of how I'm going to do it, because I'm legitimately brain damaged. A tape measure just in case. A snack. And what you actually need. You actually need the drafting square with the hip curve on it. You can get away with using other things, like just any kind of curved thing, to do the hip curve and the darts. This is just easier. That's just because you need something to do a right angle and something to do a curved line, pretty much. So you just need that because you need to do a proper right angle with centimetres, because as much as I hate to admit it, it is actually easier. And the curve for the hip curve and the darts. You know, you probably can find something else to use, but this is just easier, to be honest. My snack, it's yogurt. Apparently I can't do anything. My energy is just constantly depleted, and that's just the sort of mood I'm in. I need constant sugar. I do mix it in. Like, the strawberry goes to the bottom. Like, I'm sorry, this yogurt is so gross, you have to mix it in. First things first, it's just a vertical line. It's just a vertical line first. It's going to be the centre front seam. Then you measure down from the top to what's going to be point 2, which is the hip depth. So minus 31, so that's how far I'm going down. Lots of people do this measure, they calculate it from your like total height, and then they do something really weird, like they subtract your legs off or something. I don't really get it. I don't really get why they do that when you could just measure your hip depth. I really don't understand. So I kind of just don't get why you would use so a calculated measurement like that if you're making a fitted skirt and the hip depth is so important to get right. Like, if the hip depth is in the wrong place, it means you've put the widest part of the hips entirely in the wrong place, so nothing fits anymore. Everything's off and the whole thing's just a pointless exercise. Like, especially if you're not using stretch fabric. Like, why would you want to risk having the hip depth like in the wrong place? Just don't risk it. Don't do that. And from 2, you just go down to get the finished length that you want. So my total length is 51, so I've got to go down another 23. So yeah, it's just 3 points on a vertical line. Honestly, it's not difficult. So from 2, you measure horizontally, squaring out to get half of your hip width plus however much ease you want on there. So I'm doing 46. So just remember that however much ease you add on, you need to account for when you're taking the waist excess away later. If you forget, it's not going to fit properly. My ruler is only 45 centimetres long, so I need to go out again. And that's point 4. Now to get point 5 across the middle, it's just halfway. yeah, like it's literally just halfway between the 2 points. So that's 23. So that is going to be the side seam, 0.5. Because over here was the centre front, that's the centre back, which is going to be relevant when you do the darts. Now, all that means is that when you square off from 0.4, you have the centre back seam or whatever. And it's only half, like just for obvious reasons, it's only half the hip that you do because you cut the back out twice and the front out twice for a left and right. Just to state the blindingly obvious. This is drafting in the square, so pretty much all this means is this is the waist to length, desired length. It's as wide as you are, and now you're just concerned with taking the waist excess off, so putting the hip curve in there for the side seam, and then that's going to reduce the waist down to your waist measurement, because if you left it like this your waist would be as wide as your hips, and I'm almost certain that's not going to be good at all. So next you have to calculate your waist excess, which is the amount that you're actually taking off of the waist through the darts and the hip curve. And all you do is you go half of your hip measure plus however much you usually did, half of your waist measure plus 1 centimetre, and then the difference is the waist excess, so mine's 15, and that's what we're going with. So the first amount that we're actually going to take out is going to be up here at the side seam, the hip curve. I'm taking 8.5 centimetres out, because that's about half the waist excess. So all I'm going to do is go 4.25 centimetres, just like mark it on either side. And then you can actually vary like the shape of your hip curve, depending, like if you have slightly like straight hips you can account for that here. There we go. So my front dart is going to be 1.5 centimetres, and I'm doing it about 6 centimetres in, so just marking that, and then marking 1.5 on either side, 1.5, so it's like 0.75 on either side. Yeah. And I'm drawing the front dart 6 centimetres in and 1.5 centimetres wide. I'm going to draw it 9 centimetres long. I'm going to try and offset it a little bit so it's slightly curved, just for the reason that there really aren't any straight lines ever in like an actual person, and it really does just conform better to any sort of curved line if you actually make an allowance for the fact that it is. So, you know. So I'm drawing the darts a little bit slanted, 0.5 centimetre to the side. And I'm doing the dart legs slightly turned inwards, because it looks nicer, frankly. That looks horrible. still looks horrible. Okay, slightly better. Minorly hideous. Now I'm doing the back dart, which I'm putting 5 centimetres in from the centre back seam. Go, and then about 13 centimetres deep, and it's going to be, this one is 3. And once you've done that, I only have 2 more centimetres left of waist excess to take out before I've made up the 15. And it's just half of the distance here, just so the other dart is halfway between the side seam and the other dart. 6.5. So that one is 2. Just mark the width on there. And take that one down shorter than the other one, about 12. So it really doesn't take long at all just to draft like an ordinary skirt, to be honest. To the extent I kind of don't know why you wouldn't do it, and why you wouldn't have it actually be your own measurements. So now I've got this dart that's 3 centimetres wide and is 13 centimetres long, and this one which is 2 centimetres wide and 12 centimetres long. And between the two of them, that's 5. Waist excess I took out of the side seam with the hip curve, and this little dart here, it should all add up to 15, which is my waist excess. And when it's all done, that means we've taken enough off of here so that once it's made, it will be noticeably narrower than this bit, the width. So this is so basic. You can add pleats to this and have it be pleated. You can have it longer or shorter, tapered or just straight. You can do so much with it. So then all you do is you just have a waistband which is going to be the length of your waist, finished waist, and then it's going to be as deep as you like it pretty much. It's really just a long rectangle, there's not really anything else to it. It's almost pointless to even show you. So I like to actually cut my darts out. It just makes it so much easier to mark. Especially if you're only cutting in single layers. It's just so easy to chalk mark just there. You can see the darts are cut out just as I like them. And I mean, yeah, it's noticeably a lot shorter than the other ones I've made, but you know, I really don't care. So this is one of the skirts that I made from a very similar pattern, it's just a bit longer. And this one has a vent at the back because it's slightly longer.